forth from the city. When Lord Krishna came before his opponent's army, he sounded his conch shell, striking fear into his enemies' hearts. King Jarasandha surrounded Krishna and Balaram with his soldiers, chariots, and so on, and the women of the city, having climbed up to the roofs of the palaces, became extremely unhappy because they could not see the lords. Then Krishna twanged his bow and started to rain down a torrent of arrows upon the enemy soldiers. Soon Jarasandha's unfathomable army had been annihilated. Then Lord Baldev arrested Jarasandha and was about to bind him up with ropes when Sri Krishna had Baldev released the king. Lord Krishna reasoned that Jarasandha would assemble another army and return again to fight. This would facilitate Krishna's goal of removing the earth's burden. Released, Jarasandha returned to Magadha and vowed to perform austerities with the aim of avenging his defeat. The other kings advised him that his defeat was only a reaction of his karma. Thus informed, King Jarasandha withdrew to his kingdom with a heavy heart. So Krishna rejoined the citizens of Mathura, who began rejoicing, singing songs of triumph, and arranging victory celebrations. The Lord brought all the warriors' jewelry and ornaments that had been picked up from the battlefield and presented them to Maharaj Ugrasen. Jarasandha attacked the Yadavas in Mathura 17 times, and each time his armies were totally destroyed. Then, as Jarasandha prepared to attack for the 18th time, a warrior named Kalayavana, who had been searching for a worthy opponent, was sent by Narada Muni to fight the Yadavas. With 30 million soldiers, Kalayavana laid siege to the Yadava capital. Lord Krishna looked upon this attack with concern, for he knew that with Jarasandha's arrival imminent, there was a serious danger that the simultaneous attack of these two armies might endanger the Yadavas. Therefore, the Lord constructed a wonderful city within the sea as a safe haven for the Yadavas. Then he brought them all there by his mystic power. This city was fully populated with members of all four social orders, and within it no one felt the pangs of thirst and hunger. The various demigods headed by Indra each offered as tribute to Lord Krishna the same opulences they had originally obtained from him to establish their positions of authority. Once he saw his subjects safely settled, Lord Sri Krishna took permission from Lord Baldev and went out of Mathura unarmed. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Laitan Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurattvise Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannadaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gaudode Pushpavanto Chitro Shando Tamonudo. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, we are discussing how Krishna establishes the city of Dwarka. This chapter is entitled Krishna establishes the city of Dwarka. And in great detail, as we go ahead, it will be discussed that how Krishna is repeatedly attacked by Jarasandha. The first very attack is 23 Akshahunis. We hear so much about Mahabharat battle, but Mahabharat battle, both sides put together is 18 Akshahunis. On one side it is 11 and on another side it is 7 Akshahunis. So, but Jarasandha, when he attacked Krishna Balram, it is far more than that. There are 23 Akshahunis in that battle. So someone was making a calculation. So total about 390 Akshahunis had Krishna was attacked by about 390 Akshahunis, all 18 times put together. The calculation was something, it comes to something like that. So many, and every time Krishna Balram alone were there. They did not disturb all the Yadu Yadava heroes. Every time they themselves both were there, and they would defeat all of them. So like that, like the first time we can see, and each Akshauhini, the description is given. So many soldiers on elephants, infantry, cavalry, so all charioteers, horse charioteers, like that. So many attacks have been inflicted upon Krishna when Krishna was there, and we can see in this chapter, Krishna was there earlier in Mathura, and then because of course Dwarka is a spiritual kingdom, just like Golok or Vrindavan is eternally present, Ayodhya, Mayapur is eternally present, Ayodhya. Similarly, Dwarka is also eternally present. It's not that it has been created at some period of time. It is eternally present, there is no doubt about it. But still, Krishna manifested it. And the reason being for the sake of security of all the citizens for all Yadavas. So Krishna wanted all the Yadavas to be very secure. So he was personally protecting all the Yadavas basically. This is one of the characteristics of Krishna, that he personally protects his devotees. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. Krishna is the father, Krishna is the mother, Krishna is the life and soul of all devotees. So Krishna takes the role of being father and mother for devotees, because we have our father, mother, and someone has given birth to us, and we are indebted to them, no doubt about it. And they have taken care of us. We are surely indebted to them, and they have been taking care of us. They are protecting us, like that. But ultimately it is temporary. It's for a few years, maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, or maybe a few more years. That's all. That's how much biological father and mother can take care of us. But Krishna's care is eternal. Krishna's care is eternal, and it is beyond time and place. Many devotees, many students, they have this experience. When they are at home, they are taken care of by father and mother very nicely. In childhood they are taken care. Once they have to go to college, they have to leave father and mother, and it's for those who leave it first time, it's very tough for them. Many students, they have that experience. When they leave father and mother, they go to hostel or whatever, they go to college. It's very tough for them in the beginning of 6 months or 1 year to tolerate the pangs of separation from parents. It's not so easy. But then we get habituated. And then after that, any problem happens also, father and mother are not there actually. Because because they are separated by place, they can't actually take care. They can't actually take care. Sometimes students get into depression and all that. Students get into depression in their college, they go through certain activities, they get into depression. Parents will not be able to help them in any way. They have to lead their own life. Or sometimes they get into different activities, or they may not get a job or something like that. Parents may not be able to help. They may try to help, but they may not be able to effectively do much. And what to speak of when one starts working, and one starts having a family and a responsibility towards the society, responsibility towards the family, and responsibility towards parents as well. And at that time, how much parents can help? They can't hardly help. If they go through, if the children, if someone has to go through some situations or circumstances, parents can hardly help. They just have to tolerate, they just have to learn living it, or they just have to courageously face it, whatever. But parents can hardly help, mother, father can hardly help. And that is the reality of material world. But Krishna's protection is not like that. We know the story of Dhruva and Suniti. So when Suruchi insulted Dhruva, Dhruva was very aggrieved. He was lamenting. He was so aggrieved. It is explained that he was like a serpent, poisonous serpent. When it is stepped upon, it becomes very angry like that. He was so angry. So he ran. He wanted solace at that anger. There's such anger, it becomes uncontrollable. Sometimes anger becomes uncontrollable, or lamentation becomes uncontrollable. Person immediately needs solace. What to speak of a small child who is 5 years old? He immediately needs solace, and he runs to Mother Suniti, expecting solace. Mother Suniti, who is intelligent enough, she tells, "My dear son, I can't give you solace. What your stepmother had said is indeed true, that your father does not actually take care of me. It requires great courage for a mother to speak like that. She could have just, said, just forget it, She could have just played with him, forget it. Something like that she could have done. But she told the truth, out straightforward. So it requires great courage for a mother to speak like that. So Mother Suniti, she says, it's true that I am a neglected wife. And then she doesn't stop there. She says, first thing she says actually is that don't wish anything negative for your mother Suruchi. Don't become envious of her. That's the first thing she says. And then she goes on to say, though your mother, she spoke angrily, but what she said is true. If you approach Vishnu, then you can get the highest benediction. And then she goes on to explain that how his grandfather Brahma had achieved the highest benediction, Brahma and Swayambhu Manu, they have achieved the highest benediction of having a great kingdom. Then she goes on to say a very important statement. She says that, my dear Dhruva, what a million mothers like me can offer, the affection what a million mothers like me can offer, Vishnu can offer much more than that. Vishnu can offer much more than that. So if you approach Vishnu and expect affection from him. And Vishnu becomes pleased with you, then the affection which you can get, even a million mothers can't offer such affection. Like that, she instructs him. And sure enough, Dhruva Maharaj, he goes to forest and gets inspired by Narada Muni. And he actually receives affection from Vishnu. Later on, Vishnu comes, he puts his conch shell and on the head of Dhruva, and he receives such shelter, he becomes overwhelmed. He receives such shelter that he feels that this throne of becoming king of planet, king of universe, whatever, is, what is the use of it? It is compared to a few pieces of glasses. That's because he has received such shelter of Lord Vishnu. Such affection of Vishnu he had received, that he compares all the wealth of the whole universe to be a few pieces of glass. So he could say with so much realization, because he could feel that affection which is coming from Vishnu. And while coming back, we see, because he has become a recipient of affection, while coming back, he didn't harbor any ill feeling towards Suruchi. When actually Dhruva comes back, then Suniti also brings Suruchi. And Suniti is benevolent enough that Suruchi is offered first, when the Dhruva comes, he comes and embraces, as far as I remember, Dhruva Maharaj comes and embraces Suruchi first. And Suruchi also, because Dhruva had become such a great devotee, so she also removes whatever ill feelings she had from her heart, and she pours her tears of affection upon Dhruva. So Dhruva, he had become so much touched by affection of Lord Vishnu that there is no more ill feeling whatever towards Suruchi. Later on, when Dhruva's stepbrother, what's his name? Uttam, right? Yeah. Uttam, he was killed by one of the Gandharvas. Then Suruchi becomes very aggrieved. She goes and for searching for him, whatever. And she also gets destroyed in the forest fire. So Dhruva becomes so angry. He becomes so angry. He says, what nonsense, what right does he have, this Gandharvas? How they have killed my brother? He becomes so angry, he displays his anger. And for the sake of his brother, he goes and declares war on the Yakshas. He goes and declares war on Alakapuri. So when he declares war on Alakapuri, and then we see the whole description of that, how Yaksha Swayambhu Manu, we see the description of how Kuvera, Yaksharaj Kuvera, he comes. First of all the Yakshas come, and Dhruva Maharaj, he does a total annihilation of so many Yakshas. And later on, eventually, Kuvera himself comes. Swayambhu Manu had to come and pacify Dhruva. Swayambhu Manu had to come and pacify Dhruva. And then Kuvera comes and he offers benedictions, and he says, anyway, they were all supposed to die, so no need to worry. So like that. So basically, the point which I'm wishing to mention, which I'm wanting to mention, is that we see that how these so many Dhruva has so much affection for his brother. He didn't think that he has gone, now he has dead and gone, better he has gone now. So anyway he had created so much trouble for me. He didn't think like that. He didn't have any such ill feeling towards his brother Uttama. Sometimes someone who creates problem for us, he gets into difficulty. We think that, theek hai, acha ho gaya. अभी उसका कर्मा मिल गया अपना. He got his karma back. Sometimes we tend to think like that. But Dhruva did not think like that, because he got touched by the affection of Vishnu. So, yes, so this is how Krishna, he has that potency to be, just like Suniti was saying, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur say, Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's not explicitly given in Bhagavatam, that you're expecting affection from me, Suniti says, but but Vishnu can give so much affection that even a million mothers can't offer. So why don't you expect that affection from Vishnu? Why don't you pray for such affection and shelter from Vishnu? Like that she inspires him and encourages him. So mother's affection comes in the form of care. Father's affection comes in the form of courage and discipline. We were just now discussing the story of Swayambhuva Dhruva Maharaj attacking Alakapuri. So in the course of battle, it so happened that at one point Dhruva had come all alone. He didn't bring his army. So Dhruva was, and he came all alone, and he is battling the Alakapuri, the Yakshas and all of them. And Yakshas are they have great powers, they have great illusory powers. So they can create something and they can do something by which, the person becomes overwhelmed. He doesn't understand what is happening. He thinks it is something, it's going on as a natural course of activities in the battlefield, but actually it's an illusion which has been created so that the person can get distracted. So in the course of the battle, they created a illusory whirlwind, something like that, illusory whirlwind. And Dhruva became totally overwhelmed. He couldn't understand, he couldn't handle it. He became totally overwhelmed, he couldn't handle it. So it appeared that Dhruva, who is like a sun, it is explained that Dhruva, who is like a sun, he is consumed by the clouds of illusion. It appeared that Dhruva had lost the battle. So, and all the sages, all the demigods, they are all witnessing the battle. They all saw, how is it possible? Dhruva is a pure devotee of the Lord. How is it possible that he is losing the battle, he is losing the battle, he is losing the battle? Then all the sages, they appeared, my dear Dhruva, in order to give him that assurance that Lord Vishnu is with him. They said, Dhruva, you are Krishna's devotee, so do not worry. Take shelter of Lord Vishnu's holy names. Lord Vishnu's holy names are so powerful that they can give shelter to the most oppressed. So you are great devotee of Lord Krishna. So take shelter of Lord Vishnu's holy names, and Lord Vishnu's holy names will give you protection. And sure enough, Dhruva Maharaj immediately takes shelter of Lord Vishnu, and he could see beyond the illusions. And he employs such weapons by which the illusions get shattered. And then the battle resumes. So in this way, and repeatedly, we again also see that how Hanuman, when there was a cloud of gloom on the Vanara army, and a cloud of cloud of hopelessness, cloud of hopelessness, and a sense of cowardice amongst the Vanara armies. that who will do this mission of jumping across this mighty ocean, which is 100 yojanas wide. And jumping across the ocean is one thing. On the other side, who is there? Ravana is there, along with all the Rakshasas. Imagine somebody jumps also, ventures to jump and goes out to the other side. Ravana will catch him by his neck and chop him into pieces. So all these monkeys, they are all fearful. Who will do that job? Who will do that job? So all the Vanaras are very fearful. So when Jambavan Angada asked each and everyone to explain their capability, somebody was saying 10 yojana, somebody was saying 30, 20, 30, 40, 60, 60. Nobody said beyond 60. It is said that some of them can actually, they have that capability. Jai Shri Srinitaya Gauranga ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. It is actually said that some of them, some of the Vanaras, they actually had that capability to jump the 100 yojanas. But if, if somebody says that one of the Vanaras says that see, one of the Vanaras by any chance, he says that I can jump the 100 yojanas, then immediately Angada will say, okay, go and jump. It is such a fearful thing. They thought that, imagine, if I jump and go to the other side and Ravana catches me by neck, what is going to happen to me? So they were quite fearful. So they were quite fearful. So nobody said that. When Angada himself said, he himself was also fearful that if I go there, I don't know, I may fall prey to Ravana's opulence, whatever. So he also had that fear. So therefore he was saying that probably I may not come back, like that he was saying. So that time Hanuman declares his power. He was meditating. So Hanuman was not speaking anything. We know one of the reasons which is prominently said is because he has forgotten his powers. But at the same time, Hanuman was also thinking, this ring which Lord Ramachandra had given, that has already been given to me. So I am supposed to jump anyway, So probably Angada is asking, imagine if one of them volunteer, then what is going to happen? I will jump and this person will also jump along with me, or what is the plan? So this thought was going on in Hanuman's mind. Probably I will jump and another wanderer also will along with me, will jump. Or, because anyway I am supposed to jump. I got the anguti, I am supposed to be the messenger anyway. And Ramchandra had already asked me so. So that thought was going on in Hanuman's mind, that I am anyway supposed to jump like that. So he had that faith and conviction in Lord Ram's name. So anyway, we know the story. Eventually, Jambavan inspires Hanuman, and Hanuman, he gives great courage to all the Vanaras. And then he was about to jump. When he was about to jump, he takes Lord Ram's names. Valmiki Muni describes that Lord Ram's names are so powerful that they can make a living entities cross out the ocean of material samsara, the Garbhodaka ocean, which is so vast, amongst which all the innumerable millions of universes are submerged. So Lord Ram's names are so powerful that this ocean of material, this ocean of samsara, one can cross over this ocean of samsara by taking shelter of Lord Ram's names. What to speak of this tiny, puny, 100 yojanas wide ocean? So like that Hanuman was thinking before making a jump. So thinking like that, he took Lord Ram's name and he made a jump. And we know the story how he had gone and he accomplished the mission. He accomplished far greater than what he has been asked to accomplish. Yeah, so basically, this so Krishna offers this protection. Krishna offers this shelter. Because there is a fear in a sadhaka's heart, there is a fear. There is an insecurity. There is a fear of future. What is going to happen to me in future? There is an insecurity. What is going to happen to me? And whether will I be secure or not? So such an insecurity or such a fear is there in a sadhaka's heart. So Krishna is the father, Krishna is the mother, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, which means that Krishna offers that shelter. There is no need to be fearful, because Krishna takes care of his devotees. So then, but how does that become a realization? It doesn't become a realization unless and until we practice it. Actually, so what is the meaning of practice? Practice means two things. Practice means one thing. First thing is, we prioritize chanting Hare Krishna, and when we prioritize keeping Krishna at the center of our lives and putting that faith in Krishna. Second thing, we follow our duty. It's not that a sadhaka does not become, does not give up one's duty. Krishna condemns it in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 5th chapter. He very clearly speaks about karma yoga. And then he goes on to say, Krishna goes on to say, better to be a sincere sweeper in the street than be a charlatan meditator. So the principle of karma yoga is that one does one's duty. Even if one is very qualified, like Janaka Maharaj, who is so qualified that he can easily renounce everything, but still one performs one's duty, because other people, look up to us, look up to the sadhakas, whatever, look up to the leaders. So in this way one performs one's duty. Now what to speak of when the sadhaka is actually not qualified enough? Then it's all the more important that one has to, rather if one does not perform one's duty, then what does it amount to? It amounts to a sinful activity. It's no more bhakti, it's no more on the platform of dharma, it's on the platform of sinful activity. Bhakti is far off, dharma is also gone. It is on the platform of sinful activity. If one does not do one's dharma, does not want to do one's duty, which one is supposed to do. So, so that karma has to be performed, at the same time putting faith in Krishna. At the same time, karma has to be performed while understanding that the results of the karma are in Krishna's hands, while understanding that the need which we have in our life, the need for affection, the need for shelter, no one can actually fulfill it other than Krishna. And whatever shelter we are getting it, through devotees or through father, mother, whatever, it's actually Krishna's shelter which is coming through them. So with that understanding, a devotee performs devotional service, and when that understanding strengthens, then one does not actually, over a period of time, because one receives such affection from Krishna strongly, but does not need affection from this material world. We see any father, mother, there is a natural expectation when taking care of children. They may not say it. In fact, many father, mother, they don't even express it. But there's a natural expectation that they are taken care of, when they become old. And that's quite natural. That's quite natural. There's nothing wrong about it. That is what is supposed to be done by children. So parents have to be taken care of by children in their old age, surely. So there is a natural expectation, by parents, when that affection is offered, that natural expectation is there. They may not express it sometimes, or whatever, they may express it, they may not express it. That is not to be concerned, but that expectation is there. But if we, at the same time, if we receive Krishna's affection in abundance, and if we offer it to our children, if we receive Krishna's affection in abundance, and we offer it to our dependents as an instrument of such Krishna's affection, then we have the opportunity to not expect it back when we are supposed to expect it. Therefore, in Vedic times we see great kings, after the age of 50-55, they accept renunciation. They go to forest. They don't anymore stay with children. Kapila Muni, such a great personality, even when he had appeared, Kardam Muni did not stay there. He said, my duty to Devahuti is till the time I give her children. Now I had given Kapila, so he is supposed to take care of her. So now my duty is over. Thinking like this, he leaves that place and goes away. So in this way, if a shelter giver actually receives the shelter from Krishna, receives affection from Krishna, then the shelter giver, he does not become bound by the chains of expectation of receiving shelter or receiving affection back. And that becomes a source of liberation. So for those who are shelter givers, it's extremely important in whatever capacity we are in. Unless and until we experience that affection of Krishna, we experience that shelter of Krishna, and unless and until we offer that experience of affection and shelter of Krishna, unless and until we do it that way, if we don't do it that way, then we'll become bound by the chains of karma, of expecting affection from the same person whom we are offering to. So therefore it's important that we, just like mother, again we come back to the story of Mother Suniti, how she has said that to Dhruva, that my dear Dhruva, what affection I can offer, millions of times, you multiply it by millions of times. Millions of mothers cannot offer so much affection as which can be offered by Vishnu. When taking this instruction seriously, Dhruva practices devotional service very intensely and becomes successful. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? Yeah. We will become bound by it, basically. So when we are saying that we will become bound by it, that means we are not qualified. But as a duty we do it. If we have such a role, as a duty we have to do it. Because therefore we were discussing about karma yoga. Therefore we were discussing about karma yoga. Whatever is the duty we are supposed to perform, we perform it. That's fine. So it becomes a sadhana basically. Becomes a sadhana basically. Like that. Anything else? Yeah, last. Yeah, sometimes it can happen because it's a very serious thing. Dhruva has been a great devotee, so therefore Dhruva had given up that envy, Suruchi had given up that envy and all that, but Vishnu had taken it seriously and therefore it has happened. So therefore we have to be very careful. That shows that we have to be very careful when we deal with devotees. Kapila Muni, when he was doing penance, the sons of Sagara, they had gone there. And Indra is intelligent enough to hide the horse near Kapila Muni. So these sons of Sagara, they did not have actually, so to say, nothing to do against Kapila Muni. They were in search of their own horse. And they saw that there is a horse near Kapila Muni. So they doubted probably this sadhu might have stolen the horse. So, and doubting like that, they raised their weapons. They didn't do anything actually. And Kapila Muni was not even knowing what is happening around, because he is busy in his own penance. So, but the very tinge of raising their weapons against the sadhu, Vishnu had taken it so seriously, so that the fire element in the sons of Sagara Maharaj, that had become so huge, intense, that they got extinguished into flames in that very moment. So there Prabhupada writes in the purport, there it is explained that the offense to the dust of a Vaishnava is so dangerous that even if the Vaishnava does not take it so seriously, Kapila Muni is not even knowing about it, but even if he does not take it so seriously, still it is so dangerous that it had such an intense effect like that. So here in this case also Dhruva didn't take it so seriously. Suruchi also had forgotten, and Uttama had also forgotten, all of them had also forgotten. Because that offense had been committed at that point of time, Vishnu had taken it serious enough that they got that reaction. Okay, so we'll end it here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.